The first drawing I'm going to demonstrate is 7-6. When we start looking at 7-6, we can go ahead and see that there are tangent lines, lines that touch the circles at one point. We haven't learned how to do those yet, so I'm going to start out by doing the rest of it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new drawing. I'm going to go ahead and select an A title. It actually pops up an A title for me here. I'm going to go into Model Space, and I can go ahead and start my drawing. At the center of this drawing is a hexagon. We can go ahead and see that it's 1.5 inches across the flats. If I wanted to, I could draw a circle and snap the hexagon on that. If we remember back to when we learned about inscribed versus circumscribed, we can tell that this is a circumscribed circle. So if I go ahead, or circumscribed hexagon. So if I hit polygon, 6 sides, specify center, I'm just going to start in the middle of anywhere, and I'm going to say circumscribed. The only thing that's going to throw me off a little bit is now it's asking for the radius of the circle. We know the diameter is 1.5, so the radius is 0.75. Now that I've created that, I also notice that it turned it for me. I'm also going to double check. It is indeed 1.5 from flat surface to flat surface. I'm going to use rotate. I selected all of it, hit enter. I'm going to try to pick the center of it here, and I can rotate it up then to how I want it. From there I can see it's 2.25 inches to the center of each of the outside circles. So I'm just going to take a line, and once again I'm going to track and find that center. If I couldn't track, I could always go ahead and actually draw lines. Go over 2.25, and that should give me the center of my outside circles. This outside circle, the outside radius is 1/2. Tells me 2 times radius of 1/2. That's on both sides. The inner circle has a diameter of 3/8. That's what the circle with the line through it means, is diameter. I can actually type in fractions less than 1, so right there I typed in 3/8, enter. Now that I've created that, I'm going to mirror both of these to the other side instead of creating them again. Mirror, select both of them, enter, draw a vertical line in the middle of my drawing, don't delete the source object, and I've got the other side. I'm going to delete my construction line, and the center part tells me that it has a radius up on the top and down on the bottom of 1.25. So I'm going to take a radius circle, once again find the center of my hexagon. Radius is 1.25. This stuff we probably could have already done with what we've already learned. Now the difficult part is creating these tangent lines. The easiest way to do this with what we know already is if we go into our object snap settings, we can clear all of them except for tangent. Once I've done that, I can pick line, and it gives me this symbol, the circle with the line across it and the 3 dots. That means it's going to go to the nearest tangent. We can see as I move around the object that it snaps different places. So I picked up here, I pick over here. Now if we pick the wrong place, so if I pick here, notice it does give me a line that comes inside. Easiest way to deal with that is just to delete it, and I can go ahead and put the correct line in there. It might take some trying to figure out where to click, but I'm just creating new lines for each of those tangents. When I'm done, I like to turn all of my settings back on so that they're ready to go for the next time that I'm doing a drawing. All I have left is a couple simple trims to go ahead and get that set up, and a couple more here. Remember, you hit enter after you hit trim to trim by everything. Once I've finished that, I would go back into my A-size layout. I'd go ahead and double click to center it in my A-size layout. I was double clicking my roller, and then I can go ahead and come down here, set my scale 1:1, double click outside the magenta box. Once again, I can fill in my name, and I can fill in the drawing number. That's probably good enough for now, and that would be how we go ahead and create 7-6. While you're still watching this, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate 7-7 and an introduction to 7-9 as well. Those are the next couple drawings we're going to do. So I'm going to go back to model space and just shift that off to the side. When I'm dealing with 7-7, I can see that that's basically 4 of the same thing all around a central point. So I could probably create one of those, and then I could array it, which we've done just a little bit with, and get all 3 of them, or all 4 of them. So I'm starting at what would be the center of this object, and I can see that it's 2.5 inches to one edge or to the top. So I'm going to go up 2.5, And this is kind of what that whole piece is going to end up consisting of. That's going to be the center of it. I'm going to offset that either way, 3/4 of an inch. We can see that that's the distance from the center green line to the right side of the object. I assume it's the same to the left as well. And I'm starting to build this in. I'm going to draw a line across the top. I have a circle at the top, a little dip that has a radius of 1/4 inch. And I have a circle that's down a little ways with a diameter of 3/4. It tells me it's down 1 inch to the center, so I'm going to get a diameter circle. I'm going to track down 1 inch, and it has a diameter of 3/4. So right there's that circle. I need to also go ahead and cut off these corners. This has a mistake in the book. It says it's 8 by 45. If it's 8 inches, that's way too much. So most students find that something like 1/4 inch cut off goes ahead and works well. A couple ways we could do that. We could go ahead and come in 1/4 inch, and we could go ahead and set our snaps at 45 degree, and we could come across there. Probably the better way is going to be to use a chamfer. So if I hit chamfer and I click distance, then I can type in my 0.25, enter, enter, and then I can pick the 2 corners and it does it for me. Like I said, that doesn't look exactly like the textbook, but it goes ahead and works for this example. Should be the same size as what I just created. I can go ahead and trim up the other side here. And I've got that part created. I'm going to go ahead and do some more trimming. So I'm going to trim this top, trim this piece, this piece. I could leave that line in for now and delete it later. Now I have to get 4 of those patterned around. So I'm going to use the polar array. I want to polar array all of that, all of that. I'm going to hit enter and pick the center, and I want to set that to 4. I'm going to close the array, and now I just have to trim, but you'll notice that it's all one thing. So the way I'm going to fix that is with the explode, and I select it, hit enter, trim, hit enter, and I should be able to just start trimming parts out and delete my construction line, and that's how I go ahead and create 7-7. When I look at 7-8, you can go ahead and see that 7-8 could use something similar. So if I created either the top right corner, top left, bottom right, one of those corners, I could then use mirror to go ahead and create all the other sides. Some students like to start that way. Some students like to go ahead and just create all the parts. Either way, you probably want to start at the center like I did on this one and go ahead and start creating it. I'm not going to demonstrate all of that, but the 3 drawings you should be working on are 7-6, 7-8, and 7-9.